Yo, 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 what's up, everybody? Welcome back to the No Hedging Podcast. I am your host, Ty the Jet. I am here with my guy,
Rip 16 to go.
and you know what time it is, man. We are back with another episode of recap and takeaways from Wild Card Weekend, Super Wild Card Weekend. It was a great weekend. A lot of upsets that
It was
were
definitely wild.
It was wild. It was wild for sure. A lot of things happened that was unexpected, some that were expected, but nevertheless, the stage is set for the divisional round, and we're about to talk about it, man. So before we get into it, make sure you guys like, comment, share, and subscribe to the channel. We appreciate you guys' support to this point, and we're going to keep dropping more content as we get deeper and deeper into the playoffs, man. So let's jump right into it, man. What do you think from Wild Card Weekend? Let's just start with the first game.
All right, that's what I was thinking. Very wild. The very young Houston Texans came out the gate on Wild Card Weekend. They came out with a vengeance. The defense early in the first half of that game, the defense on both sides, I was a little bit surprised by the lack of defense on both sides because it was back and forth with shootouts. But then there start to be a step up in the defense on the Texan side of the things. They start getting some takeaways and scoring off of those. There was a pick six. There was an interception. There was just a lot of turnovers that got turned into points.
Two pick six.
Right. So the young Texans definitely came out there and put their stamp on the game. I definitely didn't see them even winning that game, but they came out there and they won it convincingly. So I got to give them their credit where it was due. They showed up and they showed out. Yeah,
man, it looks like the better quarterback won that game. The better team, to be completely honest. I mean, it was a good team win by Houston. C.J. Stroud, man, not fazed by the moment. He's been there before. First time in the playoffs. Rookie won his first playoff game. It was an amazing win by Houston. Defense played phenomenal.
Yeah.
Like you said in the beginning of the game, it was kind of back and forth, no defense being played on both ends.
Right.
But all it took was Joe Flacco to make one mistake, one bad decision, pick six, turn that into a touchdown, and from there, that's when the door kind of closed for Cleveland. And like we talked about, Joe Flacco's been playing great, but while he's playing great and winning games for Cleveland, he was turning the football over a lot pretty often as well. You know what I'm saying? So he's throwing 10, 15 touchdowns, but he's pairing that up with 8 interceptions as well. So, it kind of showed who he really was in the moment against Houston. That team is young. They playing lights out. They playing with a lot of energy, and they came out and dominated. They dominated.
I mean, I kind of felt like the issue with Cleveland, though, they got to get more production out of their wide receiving core outside of Njoku. I think what did Amari Cooper have in that game? He didn't have nowhere near enough in terms of production.
He didn't do what he did to him last time. He put up 260 something last time.
Yeah, Njoku did, and that's coming off a rest. Njoku, he had a pretty solid game in terms of receiving yards, and Flacco was still, in terms of yardage and passes, he was still distributing the football and moving it around, but it just wasn't enough. And I think you need more production out of the wide receiving core when it comes to Cleveland. I mean, of course, we already know Cleveland had multiple quarterbacks in and out of the rotation throughout the season. So, I mean, of course, you want to get quarterback stability. The interceptions caught up to him in that game, and but more so for me, I felt like that was Houston Texans defense really stepping up.
Yeah, because they stopped the run too.
They stopped the run.
Yep.
They locked down on the pass, especially in the second half. And to me, that was more of a testament to the Houston Texans than it was a Cleveland Browns downfall to me.
100%. But when you the Cleveland Browns and you have the number 1 ranked defense. I mean, word is defense travels. It should. But they didn't show up, man.
I expected a lot more out of the defense. That was more of a call of concern than the offense to me.
Yeah, I didn't see much of Myles Garrett, getting pressure. So I mean, it was just a great all-around game by Houston.
CJ made a lot of off-balance passes and scrambling out of the pocket, and he just made
he was dealing, man.
some really great passes, and Nico made some really great catches. So, that was just the Texans, man. It was the Texans.
They came through. They dominated. They was at home. They got the dub, and they performed on all phases.
They did. What did you think about the next game on the wild card slate? What did you think about the Miami Dolphins versus the Kansas City Chiefs in the Ice Bowl? In the Ice Bowl,
I knew that the Dolphins were gonna go out there and get beat.
Right. We pretty much said that.
I knew that
when we talked about it last time. We was talking about the defense and how, the defense is just too banged up.
Yeah, they're just too banged up. A combination of the defense being too banged up. The offensive players were banged up too a little bit. Tyreek, they played, but they toughed it out. You know what I'm saying? They had injuries.
Tyreek Hill said LeJerry Sneed jammed his ass to Cancun.
Jammed to Cancun. I saw that live. I had to record it and play it back. But yeah, I mean,
that was basically a summation of what was going on with the offense.
Absolutely.
Jammed up.
Yeah. So here's the thing, right? Miami, we already talked about it. Miami not playing well against teams that are better than 500. Miami not playing well, especially against teams that are better than 500 and on the road.
Right.
That's been the tale and the case for Miami all season. But now when you go into this environment, I think the Kansas City Chiefs came out there with the mentality of, we're going to out-physical you.
Yeah.
We're going to be tough. We're going to be the tougher team.
That's kind of been the defense's MO, though.
We're going to be the tougher team. We don't care how fast you are.
That defense
We're going to get up in your face. We're going to get physical. We're going to run the football. When we come out here, we're not going to be afraid to throw the football. First two plays, opening drive, the Chiefs threw the ball twice.
And I think that was because the defense is so banged up. Mm-hmm. Now, of course, the offense having some banged up players also, like you said, that limits them in terms of what they can make happen because, the Kansas City Chiefs defense is strong, but that speed on both sides, ultimately it's going to cause some defensive shifts. It's going to cause some stuff to open up. Mm-hmm. At least that's the train of thought. And especially with Tua being able to get the pass off so quickly in most situations, that's usually the case. However, in this situation, with you being banged up, you slow down. And then also with the defense being banged up, that opens it up for a suspect wide receiving core from the Kansas City Chiefs to actually be able to make some stuff happen.
Yeah.
Rashee Rice comes out there and he has a phenomenal game. Oh, man,
crazy game. I think, 143 or something like
Yeah,
that?
he went crazy.
Yeah,
he had
9 catches, 143.
Now, do I think he has that same game if the defense isn't so banged up, if they actually have some legitimate edge rushers, if they have Xavier Howard and Jalen Ramsey healthy? Does that happen? I don't think he has as many yards. I think he still has a good game, but I don't know if he has that many yards. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, it went basically how we expected.
It went exactly how we expected it to go.
And then it was cold.
Yeah, it was
also.
Them boys did not want to be out there. They did not want to be out there. They was out there. They was walking around tight like this the whole time.
It's freezing cold out here. It's negative, and with the wind chill and all that, it feels even lower. So it was just not a good environment for Miami to get the dub. That wasn't exactly how we pretty much thought it was.
But the crazy thing is Miami still had opportunities throughout the majority of the game, right? The game was pretty close, even though it looked like they were getting dominated, watching the game. But the Chiefs weren't able to score in the red zone touchdowns like they should have been doing. You know what I'm saying? So
right, which talks about the Chiefs' struggles. Mm-hmm. But it also says that Miami does have some strengths. Like they are still pretty good for them to hang in there.
Yeah.
Before it just got away from them.
Granted the circumstances,
they were able to hang in there for a while before it just got out of hand. But I wasn't even expecting them to hang in there that long, to be honest.
Yeah.
Especially with the conditions and the team injuries. So that game went exactly.
Shout out to my boy Spags, man. My boy Spags, he be on that phone and he be dialing it up. Them blitzes be coming and he gonna keep bringing that heat, man. He got these boys in Kansas City playing lights out this season. Shout out to Spags, man. Top defensive coordinator in the league. Trust me, I know. He was the Giants coordinator when we won the Super Bowl. That's why I love me some Spags. And he brings pressure, man. I love pressure. I love teams that bring pressure. They blitz. They ain't sitting back there in no zone coverage all day. Bring that heat. Affect the quarterback. You know your quarterback is not as great.
Spags and what's my boy from the Vikings? They dialed it up.
Brian Frazier.
They dialed it up. So
not Frazier. Leslie Frazier dials it up, but Brian Flores.
Yeah. The boys like to dial it up, so I mean, I can't be mad at it. It worked. It was effective.
But yeah, I mean, offensively, the Chiefs, they ran the ball. Pacheco had a good game, very physical.
He always runs so angry.
Yeah, angry, stomping at the ground, like mad at the ground. But you don't want to tackle that dude in -4 weather. You know what I'm saying? You barely want to tackle his ass when it's 65 degrees, dude. So yeah, them boys Kansas City, they came ready to play. They knew what time it was. They weren't about to sit here and let Miami walk up in there, and they didn't even talk about the weather. They ain't care nothing about the weather. They played well. Travis Kelce dropping passes. That's something to be on the lookout about. Look out for. Man. I don't know, man. It's just
hands cold, man.
Since he been with Taylor Swift, he been. I don't know. It's just
he started the season very good.
That's what I'm saying. And then as soon as Taylor Swift come into the picture, his production start going down.
Hey man, we're not putting this on Tay-Tay, man. I'm putting that on Kelce, man. But in any event, they made it happen. Now speaking of dialing up and going downhill. We had the Green Bay Packers versus the Dallas Cowboys. so
shout out to Green Bay. Go Pack, go.
We put green and yellow in the back today because
upset of the weekend.
You are America's new favorite team. So the Green Bay Packers managed to come in as a 7 seed going against a 2 seed, and Aaron Jones said, "I don't care.
Texas, I own you.
Texas is my state.
I own you,
and I own this team."
Mm-hmm.
He said
every time Aaron Jones plays Dallas, he has a freaking phenomenal game. Every time.
Yeah, that was unbeknownst to me. I didn't know he was gonna come out there and do that. Dallas hadn't lost all season at home, but they went in there and they got their ass whooped. Most of that game was not even close.
Nope.
The score actually in the end looks a lot closer than it was. They pulled starters. A 7 seed pulling starters in the fourth quarter is unheard of. But they pulled starters for a while. Dallas start making a push. Dak start looking like the Dak we've seen throughout the season.
Well, I mean,
they pulled some
being,
defensive
I mean,
players
they pulled defensive players, and then the defense is playing pretty much like, hey, don't let anything get behind you.
Right. It was the goal is just keep everything in front of you.
Keep everything in front of you. Make tackle, kill clock. That's it.
So
that's why Dak was looking good in the second half. I mean, 27-0 in the first half. I mean, the game is over.
Well, it was 27-7.
They scored it. Oh yeah, they scored right before what they shouldn't have, because it should have been a fucking false start. But needless to say,
hey, they managed to get on the board right before halftime, and they got the ball back.
It was curtains.
But Aaron Jones just went out there and just dominated in every phase of the game that he could. Jordan Love,
man.
Jordan Love and C.J. Stroud, I'll say they had equitable performances. Even when they were being flushed out of the pocket, throwing off a back foot,
making throws,
throwing across the body, throwing deep. Like, he just made every pass. He looked very phenomenal out there against a Dallas defense that you expect more out of again.
Dallas defense did not come to play. They did not show up.
The secondary didn't show up.
Nobody showed up.
Romeo Dobbs came out there.
Nobody showed up. Nobody showed up.
Romeo Dobbs had 100 yards receiving.
What Micah Parsons do?
Right?
What Micah Parsons do? Nothing.
He was chasing them.
He ain't do nothing.
He was putting pressure, but it wasn't working.
They weren't getting to the quarterback. They weren't applying enough pressure. And then in the secondary, dudes were running wide open. They got out coached. They got out schemed. Micah
Parsons, to be fair, it was a couple plays where they dropped Micah Parsons back, and they didn't necessarily use him to get pressure. When they switched up to start getting pressure, they started flushing Jordan Love out of the pocket a little bit more, but he was still making the passes. Romeo Dobbs comes out here and gets his highest receiving game of his career.
Dan Quinn got cooked, man. He got out schemed. He got out schemed.
He got cooked.
He got out schemed.
He got
man.
cooked. And the little bit of pressure they were getting, when they did start getting pressure, they barely even punted that game. How many times did they punt?
One, I think. Once or twice. I
think.
Yeah.
They weren't getting enough pressure. The secondary was not doing enough to stop those guys either. So, and that's really without Christian Watson. Christian Watson barely played.
Yeah, he was just there for his decoy.
Right. He came in a couple plays. I think he had like 1 catch, 9 yards or something like that.
A decoy.
Romeo Dobbs was the one cooking them.
Yeah.
And Aaron Jones was the other
Wicks
one who barbecued him.
And then Luke Musgraves with the deep touchdown.
They caught some touchdowns, but I mean, that was Jordan Love giving the football to everybody.
Distributor, yeah.
How many touchdown passes he have? 3 or 4?
Three.
So, yeah, they fucking barbecued the Cowboys. Did not expect them to come in and handle them so convincingly. I expected a lot more out of Gilmore and Bland in the secondary being able to cover. But they just did not do it.
They didn't show up.
Michael Parsons, he was trying to get back there. I think he got banged up during the game too, but it just wasn't enough pressure. So much credit to Coach and the Green Bay Packers on what they did to the Cowboys, and they just basically dismantled them. I don't know what was going on with CeeDee Lamb in the first half. Hey, man. It looked ugly.
Yeah, I mean.
And I'm not blaming that. Who do you blame that on?
Blame what?
That loss. Who do you blame that loss on?
I think it goes two ways. I think you can equally blame the defense, and you can equally blame Dak Prescott. Dak Prescott did not assist the defense. If your defense is struggling how they've been struggling, you can't throw a pick six, and you can't give the ball right back to that offense that the defense is not being able to stop.
Okay.
So pretty much Dak Prescott spotted Green Bay 14 points.
But I don't necessarily feel like that was on Dak Prescott for the simple fact of you got to realize this is a playoff game, and he's targeting arguably the number one receiver in the league, which is what you should do in a playoff game. You should be targeting your number one receiver.
Right.
And he's not catching the ball. He's letting shit sail past him. He's letting shit hit him in the hands. He just did not look like CeeDee Lamb in the first half.
Yeah.
Don't know what was going on, but they could not get him going in the first half. And I think Dak was trying to target him to get him involved in the offense because obviously they need you to win this game.
Yeah.
So to me, I attribute that more to CeeDee Lamb in that first half. Not catching passes where Dak is putting the ball in his hand.
I can't, man.
And to me, I looked at it like, yes, he was pressing when he threw a pick six. But he's pressing because his receiver's not catching the fucking ball. And they down 3 scores.
I get it.
So to me, I felt like the defense giving up all those passing yards to Jordan Love and the secondary
not stopping, not getting off the field at third down. They could not get off the field on third down. They didn't do anything. Right, I get it.
So, and they didn't even punt. So, I mean, when you at that point and the defense can't even punt, to me, that's yeah,
I would say the defense, obviously, I think they deserve a little bit more blame, but you still have to place some blame on Dak Prescott because you cannot turn the football over.
But what was the game plan in that?
You cannot throw a pick six.
Is that coaching?
You cannot turn. You can't throw an interception and Green Bay gets the ball inside the 20 in the red zone already. So it's like the timing of it. You just can't make that. You can't make those decisions. You know what I'm saying? You can't do that.
I get it, but this was honestly the first time I looked at a Cowboys game and I was like, you know what? I don't feel like this is Dak's fault.
Listen, Dak 2-5 in the playoffs, man. It just is what it is.
Yeah. I mean, so do you think they're gonna move on from that?
They can't right now. Probably at some point, but I mean, I don't think he's a bad quarterback. I just don't think he's when the moments matter. When the moments matter. Big time moment. It's a big stage, and it wasn't even the biggest stage. You talking about the wild card round, but it's against Green Bay. It's against a team that historically, recently, in recent years, beat you. You know what I'm saying? So it's like that's a big moment. You know what I mean? I think in pressure moments and moments like that, I don't think he excels in those moments, as we've seen time and time again.
Right,
2-5 in the playoffs.
I don't think so either. But
2-5 in the playoffs.
But for me,
he is what he is.
For me, analyzing and looking at that game, though, He still came out there. He still, of course, like you said, the defense pulls back. Just keep everything in front of you. Don't
that
do
second
that.
half stuff.
And he's gonna get a lot of passing yards. I understood that. I'm not overly analyzing the fact that he gets 300 yards.
Yeah, I don't
half.
To get the
I don't
stats
really care
at
about
that point. You got to look at what happened in the first half.
I don't care about that. But
that's when it got out of hand.
But it got out of hand in the first half because the defense didn't stop anything.
Yeah, 2 turnovers too. Now they gave the ball back to. Like I said, the defense didn't stop anybody. They probably had 3 possessions on offense, Green Bay, and then you're gonna give them another 2 possessions. You're gonna give them another 14 points, 13 points. They wasn't stopping anything, so they're scoring on every possession. But then on top of that, you're gonna throw an interception inside the red zone and makes it another easy score, and then you're gonna throw a pick 6.
That's because they stopped the run.
This all happened in the first half.
They still stopped the run too in the red
zone.
So
I look at it like this: if you don't spot them 13, 14 points, then you probably have a chance.
They still would have lost.
They probably still would have lost.
Without those 2 picks, they still lose that game.
Maybe.
And that's my personal opinion, because they won by 16. So you take away 14 points, you're still losing by fucking 2, right? If you just strictly taking away those points, right? But if you really analyzing and looking at the game, like you said, Green Bay pulls back on defense. I don't think you're getting that many passing yards in a closer game. I think the defensive pressure tightens up, and Ferguson's not going out there getting that many yards in the second half. But Ferguson had 10 receptions? He's not getting that many receptions if the defense is playing under normal circumstances. But like you said, they just want to keep everything in front of you. So, yeah, I mean, with all that being said, the Green Bay Packers were phenomenal on both sides of the football. They got it done against Dallas. Not a Dallas fan at all, so I can't say that I'm sad to see them lose. However, I just thought it was very interesting what people are saying about Dallas and where they want to place the blame on that. It could be a combination of Dak, the coaching, and the defense.
It's all of it.
It's all of it.
It's
from
all
top to bottom.
It's all of
it.
But it's
dead now.
It's indicative of who the Dallas Cowboys are. They're talking all that shit all season, talking this and that. Michael Parsons on his podcast, talking this and that, talking about every other team and this and that. You need to be focusing on your team. You know what I'm saying? Jerry Jones always out there doing it. Oh, this is the best team we ever had, and da-da-da-da, and, Super Bowl.
No.
You got to be quiet, man. Dude, I don't hear the Chiefs saying that. I don't hear Buffalo saying that. I don't hear the Ravens. Have you heard the Ravens say anything?
The Ravens know they can't
Have you heard it? No. The Niners, have you heard that? No, they don't say anything. So Dallas brings all this heat on themselves and all this pressure on themselves and all this expectation on themselves. So when they do hit that downfall,
it's a show out there, man. It's a show. Jerry Jones,
just what it is. He loves it.
He likes the show.
He
man.
loves it.
They even talked about how the players got to come through the fans and stuff in the stadium and just put on it's like a show, and it's a Broadway play over there.
But I don't feel bad for Dallas. Y'all deserve to lose. It is what it is. Another season where you're not going to the damn Super Bowl yet again.
Go Pack, go. The other game from Sunday night had a tight one. The energy was all over the place. And I am talking about the Detroit Lions.
Oh, yeah.
Versus
that was the best game of the
week.
week.
Los Angeles Rams.
Best game of the week.
Most competitive game by far. The Rams had a shot at winning that one, but credit to the Lions defense. They really stepped up in situational football when they needed to step up, whether that be the secondary or whether that be the defensive line. When they wanted a run stop, they went and got it. And that's one thing they did, because they knew they were bad on defense, but they made a decision to be able to at least stop the run. And it showed, because Kyron didn't go off. I think he got hurt late.
He did. He got hurt late. Yeah,
late in the game, which I think kind of could have made a difference during that stretch, because they only lost this game by 1 point, and I think Kyron Williams was really starting to heat up. He was catching some passes. He was getting some runs off. He was finally getting free in the fourth quarter, where he's wearing his defense down and starting to get some runs, but then he gets hurt. And, Matthew has to switch over to just straight passing.
I'll tell you this. If the Rams score touchdowns in the red zone instead of kicking field goals, they win.
They win.
So
that's
credit to the Detroit Lions defense and the red zone defense. You know what I'm saying? Because you got to think about it. From 20 to 20, the Rams were cooking them. Puka Nacua went crazy.
Yeah.
From 20 to 20.
Puka had a day.
Yeah, Stafford was lighting them up. He was carving them up. But Jared Goff was throwing the ball too, carving them up. So, like, it was a good performance by both quarterbacks.
Yeah.
Especially given the
it was a shootout
given the situation, right? You know, Jared Goff got
energy
kicked
in there
from the Rams, and they didn't want him. And Matt Stafford went to the Rams and won the Super Bowl the first season. So, given all the optics and the theatrics that surrounded that situation, that game, it was good to see like these two quarterbacks like really duke it out.
Yeah, I think both quarterbacks showed their worth in that game. They both showed that, I'm good, regardless of what the other team said about me, or regardless of what transpired with the trades and all this stuff back years ago now. But Detroit showed up and they showed out for their first playoff game in a very, very long time.
They ran the ball well too.
They ran.
Monty went good.
They ran decent. I think Jahmyr Gibbs kind of cooked a little bit. They ran pretty decent.
He cooked towards the end. Monty's popped it off, breaking off 8 and 9 yard runs and stuff like that.
Yeah, I think they used the pass to the running backs very effective. Because just yards from scrimmage, rushing yards, Jahmyr Gibbs nor David Montgomery, I don't believe they had more than 50 yards rushing in that game, either running back. Now, if we talking about rushing and receiving yards, they probably did better in that category, especially Jahmyr Gibbs. But the passing game was just on, man. Amon-Ra St. Brown was catching passes. Laporta got some passes. Even though he had the knee brace out there, he was still very effective. Like you said, Jared Goff did a great job taking care of the football and distributing, man. So, credit to the Lions in that win. Their defense held up, which was really the biggest cause of concern in that game. The offense went and played like we've seen the Detroit Lions offense play this season in most situations. So they performed very well, and they performed up to their level that I saw them performing at the beginning of the season. But the defense was definitely the most impressive part of that win. So for their reward, they get another home game.
Yeah, and I mean, on top of that, like as we're watching the game towards the end of the game, they have 2-3 minutes left remaining, and they got the ball. The Lions, they get the ball after the Rams punt the ball or whatever the case may be. I'm watching there trying to make sure they're gonna close this game out, and I'm pretty sure everybody in the building is looking like, please don't get a ball back to these Rams.
Because they look like they was about to score.
But what happens? They go ahead, they run the ball for a first down. They get that, and then on 2nd and 9 or whatever the case may be, they drop back and ice the game and throw it to Amon-Ra St. Brown, and the game is over. You take 3 knees and over with. You know what I'm saying? So.
It was a nail biter, but
situational football though, right?
Situational football.
In those moments, that's what you got to do. You got to convert at the end of those games to get those first downs, so you control the clock. You know what I mean? And
they play good situational football on both sides of the football, so they deserved that win, and they came out with it.
They gave us a great game. It was a
great game. I'm not disappointed in the Rams' performance in that at all. I think
the Rams are just young. They didn't expect to be there, to be completely honest. Nobody expected the Rams to make the playoffs this season. Granted, given the team structure, they had a lot of rookies on their team. They started off the year with a lot of injuries, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
So they found a way to get in the playoffs in the wild card round.
Much credit to
they
Sean
overachieved
McVay
this season. And, like I said, credit to Sean McVay. Did what he had to do to get his team into the playoffs. But they need to work on the defense a little bit. They need to get some
They got to work on the
rushers,
defense, and I think they got
to
definitely the pass rush and the secondary. And then just some more time for some of those guys to develop. Like you said, they're really young. Puka's only going to get better. Hopefully Cooper Kupp comes out with a full healthy season. That helps also. But Demarcus Robinson, he started stepping up once they activated him. It's a lot of very positive things the Los Angeles Rams have going on for them. I'll look out for them next season to be pretty damn dominant, especially if they can do a couple things, like you said, to boost that defense in the offseason. I think they're going to be a very scary team next season. But right now, the Detroit Lions are the scary one.
Yeah.
All right, next game. from Super Wild Card Weekend, getting into those Monday games. This game was supposed to be played on Sunday, but it got moved due to the inclement weather. It's a fucking blizzard, and they're still trying to play football instead of moving the game, which is expected out of Bills Mafia. The Bills ended up winning that game against the Steelers, which was kind of expected.
I knew it.
And you better fucking win after you pay people $20 an hour plus to come out here and shovel snow and do all this shit to get this stadium ready. You better fucking win. So they did end up winning that game. Again, this was kind of one of those games where it went pretty much how we expected.
Yeah.
I just think it was just too much for, like we said, it was going to be too much for Rudolph to come out there and win that game, especially underneath the circumstances on the road. Yes. And the Bills have been one of those teams that got
They're the hottest team in the league right now. They're the hottest team.
Or after Green Bay.
They've been the hottest team, bro. They've been the hottest team. When the last time they lost? They haven't lost in a minute.
Green Bay's been pretty hot, too.
Yeah, they're hot, too. But Buffalo, they hot. They hot. Josh Allen, man. I mean, that's it. What else can we say? I mean, Josh Allen, he put the team on his back. I think he had like 70-something rushing yards. He had a 52-yard touchdown run. This dude's 6'6", 230, 250 or something like that, running down the field like that. You know what I'm saying? He's just been playing phenomenal, man. When it's in crunch time, bro, he puts the team on his back, man, and he takes the team and he controls it, and he's the guy. You know what I'm saying? Like, as long as you got Josh Allen behind center, you have an opportunity to win games. I don't care who the opponent is.
Most impressive thing Josh Allen did, not the 74 yards rushing on 8 attempts, not the 203 yards and the 3 touchdowns.
No turnovers.
No interceptions.
Yep, no turnovers.
Right.
He played
didn't
clean.
Have any turnovers.
Played clean.
He didn't have any interceptions. He had a rushing touchdown and 3 passing touchdowns. But the 0 interceptions on his stat line is the most impressive thing I've seen Josh Allen do. And the team was rewarded by a 2-touchdown victory when he's not turning the ball over.
Yep.
So hopefully that's something that, you know, they take note of moving forward, especially going into next game, which is going to be a hostile environment. But
no, they playing at home.
Oh yeah, that's right. That's right. But credit to them for going out there and taking care of business, especially despite the inclement weather and playing in the fucking blizzard. So.
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't even snowing anymore.
You know it wasn't snowing by game time,
it stopped.
But it was a blizzard the day before.
Yeah, it stopped. But, yeah, I mean, on the Pittsburgh side of things, Mason Rudolph, he's not the answer. I mean, that's just what it is. You got to be able to.
Well, we knew that.
Yeah, you got to be able to compete in the playoffs. I mean, you playing, look in the AFC, man. Look what type of quarterbacks you're going to be facing in the AFC. You got Josh Allen, Patrick Mahomes, Joe Burrow, Lamar Jackson. You know what I'm saying? Guys like that. You know what I mean? And you talk about Mason Rudolph. Oh, I forgot. C.J. Stroud. Yeah, I can't forget about him. This is just the AFC alone. So you got to step your weight up at the quarterback position, and that's the deficiency of Pittsburgh. So that's why I knew going into the game, or we both knew that they didn't have a shot at winning this game. I don't care how great the defense would have played. And then, granted, T.J. Watt wasn't playing either. So,
right.
You know, with that missing piece, you know, T.J. Watt had 19 sacks on the season or something like that.
Yeah, without T.J. Watt, I didn't feel like that Pittsburgh Steelers defense was going to have the same capability to stop them. And it showed, because does Josh Allen go out here and get that many yards rushing if T.J. Watt is out there? I don't think so. But the defense still stepped up. They held Najee Harris and Jaylen Warren in check pretty much throughout the game. They didn't have much in terms of yardage, rushing nor receiving. The highest receiving yards was Freiermuth. So he had 76 yards. Other than that, that was the most yards you had receiving. And the most rushing yards you had was 38. You gotta get more than 38 yards rushing. Yeah, 37 yards.
In a game like this, you gotta keep Josh Allen off that field, man. I mean, he had them tight ends went crazy, you know. But Dalton Kincaid, that dude, he's a beast.
He's
man.
nice. He's nice.
He's a beast. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, if you're going to try to beat them when you're deficient at the quarterback position, you need to start running. You need to run the football, even though
they weren't able to generate any rushing yards. So, I mean, I don't hold that against Tomlin. I still don't know what the future is for Tomlin with Pittsburgh based on this situation, but I don't hold that against Tomlin. I think that was just a personnel issue. You don't have the quarterback.
You don't have the quarterback,
and you don't have your best defensive player that you need. And Josh Allen, when he's not throwing turnovers, is not the guy that you want to play against.
Absolutely not. Yeah,
so on the road, no, that's just not the guy that you want to play against. So that game went pretty much exactly how we thought.
Yeah, another successful season by Tomlin. You know, another not losing season, I should say. Right. Another season over 500, and he got him into the playoffs. I didn't expect Pittsburgh to get into the playoffs.
Credit to him for even getting them in the playoffs with that he had.
Yeah, especially how the team was playing throughout the season. They weren't scoring any points. They were getting outgained. They were getting outgained throughout the whole season and still winning games and firing their offensive coordinator and all this, and they were still able to go to Seattle and get a win and to get them in the playoffs and all these different things.
They went through a lot as a team this season for sure. So credit
Pickens
to them.
crying like a little girl, and you know, and Deontay Johnson crying like a little girl, and all this and that, and blaming the referees, and they pointing at. It was just a lot of stuff going on in Pittsburgh.
Refs do be.
They do. They do, but part of the game. It's part of the game.
Yeah, they got to fix that, though.
Yeah.
That's something they got to get out of the game because it's ridiculous. We got too many cameras for y'all to make the mistakes y'all make. Cut it out. But going to that last game from Super Wild Card Weekend, starting off by saying, okay, A.J. Brown ended up being out.
Yep, he did. That had impact for sure.
That definitely has a lot of impact in terms of the passing game. For sure. Because if the defense can just shift over and cover Devontae Smith, the only other person is Dallas Goedert.
Zacchaeus, Quez Watkins. We scared of them?
No.
we not.
Dallas Goedert had a touchdown, and that was the only touchdown. And I think you pointed out something earlier before we even started filming. You was like, when that Philly shove didn't work, you knew this game was over with.
Curtains.
If the Philly shove don't work,
curtains.
They not winning the game.
It's curtains at that point.
So, you know, credit to the Buccaneers stepping up on defense over the weekend, like as things start shaping up.
He was on that phone. And he was dialing it up. He was bringing pressure damn near every single play. Jalen Hurts didn't know what to do with it. They didn't have an answer for it. It just seemed like they weren't running any slants to like do like a quick pass to elite to get the ball out quick. You know what I'm saying? It was like everything.
But that's my thing. Without A.J. Brown, it's only Devontae Smith.
Everything was like outside. You getting blitzed. Like everything you want me to throw the ball. You want Jalen Hurts to throw the ball outside? Like no, a blitz is coming from the inside. So let me throw a slant. There was no slants going this way. It's either somebody running out routes or somebody running deep up the field. So it's like, how am I supposed to? How you expect your quarterback to get out of that pressure?
Jalen couldn't do nothing with that, man. He just couldn't do nothing with that. It was not enough going on for the offense to make something happen. You know, it was 9-16 for a while, and then after that, it was just.
But like what we talked about, how did it get there? What that defense, and it started early in the beginning of the game. That defense, they were not making tackles, they were missing tackles, just like we talked about for weeks. The defense did not. But
we also talked about the run game, and they didn't generate a run.
They didn't even try. They didn't even try.
They had 10 carries. Swift had 34 yards.
Swift was doing all right.
But I'm saying you only get 34 yards rushing.
They didn't commit to it.
That's what I'm saying. You only getting 34 yards rushing, and you can't do that in a playoff game.
Yeah, they didn't commit to the run, bro. They didn't commit to it.
They need way more rushing yards than 34 in a playoff game. Devontae Smith almost got damn near 150. But that wasn't even enough to get 2 touchdowns. So my whole thing is just that Yeah, you gotta have more of a run game, and the
You have
secondary
to.
has to not
You have
give
to.
up big ass plays like that. Trey Palmer breaks loose, breaks one tackle, and it's to the residence. You can't give that up. That's tackling.
That's tackling. That's
That's
effort.
basic.
That's effort.
That's basic level football. This
Yeah.
is tackling. Wrap up. Bring them down.
I think they quit on their team, bro. I think they quit.
You think they quit?
I think they quit, bro.
Did they quit on the team, or are they pissed with the coach? What do you think?
I think all right, so what happened between last year and this year, two major things. Head coach stayed the same, players stayed the same for the most part. The two things that changed, Shane Steichen out. He's the offensive coordinator, which is why the offense hasn't been clicking like it did last season, right? Now, how many design runs have we seen from Jalen Hurts this season? Not many.
Not as many.
How many last night? Not
I
any.
don't know if they switched that up because Jalen Hurts, he did get some injuries last season.
Possibly. But
and I think they try to shift away from running him so much. The
Right.
same way with Justin Fields. He runs so much
Possibly.
that he ends up getting a lot of injuries. So maybe you want to shift that away so that your franchise quarterback is not getting toe off the frame doing all these damn runs.
possibly.
But I expect that to shift into the running back getting more carries and you utilizing your running back in more creative ways, but they just do not run.
Yeah,
There's
so
no
they
commitment
have
to it.
Shane Steichen, he's down there in Indy. See what he's doing down there. He was the offensive coordinator.
And Indy look
Indy looking good. Offensively,
impressive.
they can score points.
Right.
No problem.
right.
The defensive coordinator, he's out. He was gone. Now they have first year defensive coordinator there. Apparently from the beginning of the season they weren't doing good, and then they end up switching them and demoting him, and they put the dude from New England up there. I forgot his name.
They gotta send him back.
Dude with a pencil. He's a coach of Detroit Lions. I can't think of his name right now. But nevertheless, so I think the offensive coordinator and defensive coordinators, they switched. They're new. So the players, they probably not buying into what these coordinators are doing. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, I'm not buying into it either. I don't know what the hell that was.
So they these players are probably at practice and they probably on the field like, why are we doing this? What are we doing? What is this? What is this? And that's kind of the body language, and that's what it looks like when you watching the game.
I told you when we saw AJ Brown a couple weeks ago, I was like, yeah, AJ Brown looked like he was dejected.
Yeah.
He didn't look surprised that they just gave away this game to the Arizona Cardinals. He didn't look thrown off by this.
Nah, because he was like, oh, it's probably, like I said, something going on inside where it's like they're not bought in with what the coaches are doing.
He was like, yeah. Pretty much. and that's what happened. They yupped the game away.
Yeah, it's just crazy how they imploded, man. Like, they didn't commit to the run game. They should have committed to the run game, take some pressure off of Jalen Hurts.
Who had a worse collapse, the Eagles or the Cowboys?
I think the Eagles, man.
It was 10-1.
I think the Eagles.
It was 10-1.
Yeah, the Eagles for sure.
I have no quarrel with the Eagles, nor their fans. I know they're very rowdy, and you know, I seen a couple of Eagles fans throwing out memes, and I seen somebody made a very insightful comment before that game and said, hey, y'all didn't play yet, so y'all might need to chill out a little bit. And it showed on the scoreboard because them boys got the brakes beat off of them, and they looked like they had no answers. So
none.
It's very interesting to see what they're going to do. I'm hearing some different things being thrown around with some of these teams, whether it be Belichick going to the Cowboys, Belichick coming in maybe with the Eagles, Belichick going to the Falcons. You know, they still talking about all these different things. So I don't know where the Eagles go from here.
They got a lot of veterans. Not Lane Johnson, but Jason Kelsey. He just retired.
He's retired.
He's done. So he's like the best center to ever play. Damn near.
Which is going to be even more of an issue for
Fletcher
Jalen
Cox.
Hurts.
He's old. Brandon Graham. He's old. These are like your vet leaders. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So, you know, they got a lot of dudes too that's like supposed to be gone like after the end of the season. You know what I'm saying? DeAndre Swift, he was on a 1-year deal. You know what I mean? So they got a lot of work.
I think they're gonna let Swift go because they don't even use him. So what the fuck is the point at this point?
But a Philly dude. He from Philly, so I mean, he probably
either
stay
gonna
there.
go home or he's.
They ain't got
going to
nobody
somebody
else. I mean, they got
else's team
Gainwell, but
because they not using him.
Yeah, Philly got a lot of going back to the drawing board.
Yeah.
To do and
They got to come
eternal
through
shit.
and just restructure a lot over there. So we'll see how that
I think the
team
locker room
looks.
is just lost. I think that's what it is. It seems like the locker room is lost, and I think when you have a lost locker room, the only way you can fix that is by removing the coach.
That's weird coming from 10-1 though.
It is.
At the start, you don't see a lost locker room on a winning team. That's usually not the case.
I wonder if
I
wonder if on the defensive side, I wonder if the defensive players had an issue with them switching the defensive coordinator, and that decision came from Nick Sirianni. I wonder if that's what happened.
Maybe, because I don't remember that Eagles defense playing this bad.
They started playing worse as the season progressed.
Just got worse.
Yeah,
like it just got worse and worse. And now I don't know where it took a tumble, but it definitely went all the way downhill.
But enough of Philly. Credit to Tampa Bay, man.
Yeah,
and Baker Mayfield.
I was gonna say, but big credit to Baker throwing over for 300, getting 3 touchdown passes.
No turnovers.
Baker was out there cooking the defense. No
wheeling and dealing.
So, much credit to them. And Mike Evans didn't even come out and have a monster game. Kay Otten was the one out there making catches and getting 89 yards receiving. So
it was a evenly distributed game for the most part. Like, not evenly distributed, but a lot of different people got their hands on the football and made some things happen.
And he
they
kind of
spread the ball
cooked
around.
them.
They spread the ball around.
They kind of slow cooked them. They didn't come out there and just cook them in the first half, but they just kind of stuck to the game plan, didn't make turnovers, played some good defense, situational football, as you said. Jalen Hurts probably had one really good pass the whole game.
That's
so
it.
The defense was holding up well.
Tampa had the momentum from the jump, and they kept it throughout the whole entire game.
Right. So much credit to the Buccaneers. When A.J. Brown was out, I was like, yeah,
they got a really good shot.
Lose.
They got a really good shot.
They're probably going to lose, but they came out there and dominated. So much credit to them. They looked phenomenal.
32-9. Ouch. That's not a good way to go.
No, it's not. But it is a good way to lead into the rundown coming up. So make sure y'all stay tuned with us. Make sure y'all like, share, comment, subscribe. You know, this super wild card weekend was wild as fuck. But that is shaping up for a very nice divisional round coming up next weekend. And the big dogs are coming back into play. The Ravens and the 49ers. So we going to see. And, of course, we got to talk about that too. But until then, peace.
We out.